Hello, everybody.
The legislature, our government is focused on delivering the clear.
Let's play Is This Guy AI or Not? I actually think this account is, although it's very, it's done very well. And I'm not even 100% sure, but anyway.
Mandate that Albertans gave us to stand up for this province, protect our freedoms.
That in 2026, Albertans will go to the polls and vote on if it wishes to declare independence and become a nation in its own right.
Provinces have authority over matters within their jurisdiction, and that authority cannot be signed away by Ottawa. That's why we are taking the next step to defend Alberta's constitutional rights through Bill 1.
Danielle Smith actually gave her endorsement for independence yesterday.
Danielle Smith has just officially unleashed a shocking Alberta independence bombshell.
So, yeah, do you think this guy is AI? Because, I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff about this channel that seems like AI. And I actually think it is now, but it is pretty good. And I'm not 100% sure, but look at this room, for example. It's, I mean, apparently there's a door here that doesn't make any sense in this wall, and you would immediately just walk into this plant. So I don't know what the heck's happening here. This door also doesn't make, I mean, where would this even go? It's like a weird crooked wall. This looks like something that you'd see in a nightmare in one of your dreams that doesn't, like where the whole room wouldn't make any sense. And then this picture was changed, but last time we covered this, it was a picture of a cow, I think, and now it's a golfer.
And the real meaning behind her words is far bigger than any.
You could change a picture, but still.
Anyone online is understood.
I'm definitely convinced that the background is AI. It's just, and I do think the guy is AI too, but AI is getting so good. But like, maybe this guy's not AI.
Shocking Alberta independence bombshell. And the real meaning behind her words is far bigger than.
The other reason I think it's AI, though, is the commentary is very basic. The guy almost doesn't say anything.
Anyone online is understood. Because buried inside her statement is a political trigger that could rewrite Alberta's mandate overnight and flip the entire sovereignty fight on its head. What she admitted publicly now forces every Albertan, federalist or separatist, to confront the reality that the independence question is no longer hypothetical. It is officially in play.
The Constitution is clear. Provinces have authority over matters within their jurisdiction, and that authority cannot be signed away by Ottawa. That's why we are taking the next step to defend Alberta's constitutional rights through Bill 1, the International Agreements Act. Previous legislation protected provincial jurisdiction in matters related to trade and investment.
Let me be straight with you. Danielle Smith just dropped something far more explosive. She stated that her mandate as premier changes immediately if Albertans vote for independence through a citizen-initiated referendum. That means the moment a yes vote is secured, her government is legally required to shift into an independence mandate. No debate, no delay.
In the event of a yes vote, would you lead Alberta through the process of an independence?
Well, I think my job would be to make the case for why we need to have a strong Alberta within a united Canada. That's what I would hope to do.
That's cool. Did you watch that online?
Question.
I'm just letting you. Well, you're jumping ahead on that. You're presuming my failure at that, and I'm very optimistic that I'm going to be able to succeed.
When she said, unless that changes through a public referendum, there's no change in our party policy. She confirmed the mechanism clearly. Her authority comes from the mandate voters give her. If that mandate switches to independence, she follows it. She's not the gatekeeper. The referendum result is.
Why would she give the citizens of Alberta the right to hold a referendum on citizen-led initiatives if she did not back independence? Danielle Smith is doing this, I feel, in order for the middle ground of Albertans to get on board with independence on their own, to not have government influence.
This directly.
Oh, that's sick. Did anyone speak that's a big name in the movement, or?
contradicts the online claims that she's blocking independence or refusing to
Hello, Canadian Spider-Man. Good evening. How are you doing?
support it. She effectively acknowledged that the public vote overrides her position, the party position, and
I
Ottawa's
like watching these videos though because it's just fun to comment on them.
expectations. Independence becomes government policy the second Albertans choose it.
Well, that we have somewhere between.
I think though some of the people out east have been saying would debate some of this stuff, but I don't know. We will see what happens. I definitely think if you get a majority in the referendum, then you're independent. That's definitely the way I think it should be, for sure. If you get 50.1% of the vote, it's see ya.
500,000 to 1 million people that are in position to say right now, Alberta needs to go.
The key point is simple. The independence movement does not
I wish there were more debates about this, though. Like, I bet you when the referendum is actually in play, which I definitely think it will be in a few months, I hope then there will be some debates and it won't just be name calling and stuff like that. Because there was at least one debate I've seen, but really only one. But it'd be fun to see, like, whatever, some of the big liberals over at CBC and stuff try to debate this.
depend on Danielle Smith advocating for it. It depends on Albertans triggering the referendum and winning it. She has already stated on record that once that happens, her mandate shifts.
Okay, that's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, that's nice. Thanks for sharing that. If anyone too wants to hop on the stream and just say hi, feel free to. I'll put the link here in the, oh, there it is. If anyone wants to hop on.
And she must carry it out. This is a real significance of her statement.
She explained it. Sovereignty means our own police. No federal police in Alberta, no RCMP, Alberta police. Our own pension plan, our own revenue agency, our own tax collection, and our own immigration. Quebec's already doing all of that within Canada.
Now here's where this gets even more serious. She didn't just talk, she built the machinery to make this real. Under the changes her government brought in, Alberta now has a voter-driven initiative law that lets regular people force a province-wide vote on big questions, including breaking away from Canada. The threshold was lowered from fantasy-level impossible to something tough but reachable for a motivated movement.
Yeah, but I think the movement would have got to the old, wasn't the old one 600K? I think they would get to that.
The Federal Clarity Act already provides the necessary framework for secession, outlining a clear process for referendums and negotiations, making 2-4 an unnecessary self-imposed roadblock that stifles Alberta's direct democratic voice.
On top of that, there's an existing federal framework sitting in the background.
See, look at this room. I was just, if you weren't here, I commented on this at the beginning of the video. This door, I mean, if this room was real, the door, you would just hit your head on this plant. It's so funny. The plant is, could you imagine setting up a room like that? It's like a prank, like the water falling on your head.
There's an existing federal framework sitting in the background. The Supreme
Liberal
Court
Finder,
rulings
what's up,
and the
bro?
Clarity Act.
How are you doing? Thanks for chatting. I'm doing good.
Those spell out how a province can move towards separation once there's a clear question and a clear result. That means a successful pro-independence outcome in Alberta wouldn't just be a protest.
Yeah, you're right, Sick. You're right, man. You're right.
Stunt or a symbolic gesture. It would drop straight into a process Ottawa is already legally bound to respond to, whether they like it or not.
What about Jeff Rath in the Senate?
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't seem like AI, but I think AI is capable of just making the plant swing. Because look at this room. Like, in what world does that make sense to have a door right there? And I don't even know where that door would go because it looks like it's a door to nowhere because there's a wall here, then a wall here. It looks like this door would essentially just be, I mean, maybe for like a tiny I don't even know, like a bathroom, or maybe there's like some kind of visual effect happening there, but why would there be a plant right in front of it? You couldn't even get to this door because you'd hit this plant. So
there's an existing federal framework sitting in the background.
But yes, it is moving. Like this whole channel is quite fascinating, but I mean, I can't obviously confirm that it's all AI, but the AI stuff is incredible, man. It is going to sweep the internet. That's why I think live streaming might actually become the future. It already sort of is, but it might become actually hard to distinguish what's AI and what's not. And I don't know. I think it'll be way harder, at least at first, for the AI to replicate a live stream.
The Supreme Court rulings and the Clarity Act. Those spell out how a province can move towards separation once there's a clear question and a clear result. That means
yeah, bro. I'm in Saskatchewan, but I just moved back from Alberta. But yeah, bro. And then Alberta and Saskatchewan are very similar culturally. There's no question.
Successful pro-independence outcome in Alberta wouldn't just be a protest stunt or a symbolic gesture. It would drop straight into a process Ottawa is already legally bound to respond to, whether they like it or not.
What about Jeff Rath and the Separatists? They're stacking the deck on an AGM board for the UCP. That's pro-separation. We're pro-independence. Yes, there is a vote being held at the AGM by registered Albertans of the UCP party.
So let's get something straight. Danielle Smith wasn't elected on an independence mandate, and no UCP candidate ran on breaking up the country. Her job description is sovereignty within Canada, and stepping outside that without a referendum would hand her critics the grounds to remove her on the
Yeah, USA is the GOAT, man. USA is the best. I want to do more road tripping around USA. I think like what was it, 2023 when I was in Calgary, I went down to, maybe it's 2023, 2024, drove down to Montana. That was sick. I want to do that more. I wanted to just keep going, but I just ended up turning around. But I want to go around. I love USA. And every time you go, like if you go to a different state, it's a totally different experience. I think USA is like maybe even a little underrated as a tourist destination because there's so many spots.
She ran on a platform called Sovereignty Within a United Canada. The United Canada part means that it's within Canada. Quebec is actually sovereign within Canada. Quebec collects its own taxes. Quebec has its own immigration. Quebec has its own pension plan. The only thing Quebec is lacking to be an independent country is that they make it official, and they're already in the process of doing that.
That's why she keeps pointing.
Why would Quebec want to, though? You wouldn't get equalization and all these other things.
Straight to the public vote.
And it's so crazy. I've been learning a little more about how Quebec, how their hydroelectric power gets factored into their fiscal capacity. They subsidize hydroelectric power, and then that makes their, whatever it's called, fiscal capacity look better because that lowers their, whatever the formula is, the revenue generating capacity of the province because their hydroelectric power is subsidized. So, and they can somehow get away with that. That's such bullshit that the formula doesn't account for that.
It's not hesitation. It's the only legally solid path. If she moves before Albertans give her the authority, the courts, Ottawa, and the Federalists inside her own party could shut.
That's cool, man. That is cool. One of my best friends. Yeah. I think that's pretty common. A lot of Ontarians did that. Maybe more so in the last, maybe like 2-3 years ago. I think it's a little less common now. But a ton of people from Ontario moved to Alberta in like 22 and 21 and 23.
Down the entire independence push instantly.
Alberta has the ability to operate under those.
I think the homes in Ontario are finally starting to come down. Although it's not enough to make it actually affordable for the average person, but it looks like there's a little, like the home prices in Ontario are at least coming down for the first time in probably, 20 years, a long time.
Rules that the Constitution says. One of the things that we have been looking at actively is if the federal government is going to abuse their criminal law power, which they have been, part of the reason.
Alberta's getting crowded, man. Calgary was crowded as fuck. Like, not as much as Ontario, but Calgary is crowded when you're there. Everywhere you go feels super busy.
And why they have asserted the ability to regulate carbon dioxide and plastics and anything else they would wish to, firearms, is because of a misapplication, in my view, of the criminal law power.
So let's talk about the pressure that set this entire situation on fire. Ottawa has been moving federal authority into areas that belong to Alberta, using criminal law mechanisms to regulate emissions, resources, and firearms, and signing international agreements that land inside provincial jurisdiction without Alberta's input. These actions have created a direct collision between federal policy and Alberta's constitutional powers.
This guy's commentary is just, it sounds like that other guy I covered who was arguing against the equalization stuff, but that guy I definitely believe is a real person, but it looks like he's just reading off a chat GPT script. This guy, when he talks, he doesn't say anything. It sounds like he's reading chat GPT. For how amazing it is, it's still absolute dog shit, I think, at writing. It'll give you a good answer, but in terms of sounding like a human, I don't think it's actually anywhere close to sounding like a human. It sounds like, a robot.
These actions have created a direct collision between federal policy and Alberta's constitutional powers.
Does anyone talk like that?
Can't come to agreements on certain things. You've already seen that that's the direction that we're going. We're going to direct law enforcement to confiscate firearms. No, we're going to direct them not to. So you've seen that we've already begun.
Yeah. Do you think that Alberta's has too many people? Because I think the population went from 4 to 5 million quite quickly.
Exercise our authority.
Calgary definitely feels busy, not the most busy. I've been to other places where it feels more crowded, but I don't know. Calgary was getting pretty, like the traffic everywhere you went, the Costco, everywhere was pretty packed
in those areas. And I intend to do a whole lot more of that if they continue to abuse the powers they were given under the Constitution.
In response, Alberta has started passing laws that reject or refuse to enforce federal directives that cross into provincial territory. That includes controlling emissions data, defining certain sites as critical infrastructure, and instructing law enforcement not to act on specific federal orders. These aren't symbolic gestures, they're operational steps that shift practical.
Yeah, Dan likes the Forever Canadian stuff. Yeah, that's cool, I guess. If you want, Dan, you can come have a chat about it if you want to. Just defend your position if you want.
Authority back to the province.
If you click that link down,
go after
anyone. If you're pro independence, you can click the link too and have a quick chat if you want.
The criminals, they need to stop the catch.
If you're like pro Alberta staying, we can debate if you want, and we can scream at each other if you want to. But if you come on here and you're just respectful, I'm not gonna try to do gotcha questions and stuff.
Release that they need to stop the repeat criminals that are going out and creating havoc in our communities, and they need to support the provinces and being able to keep these bad guys behind bars so that they don't cause more carnage. If they're
in some case, obviously will be a balance. I saw someone on X say a values test. I think that's a great idea. Canada should have a way stricter values test as it is right now. So something like that.
Keen on wanting to exercise their criminal law power, that's where they should start.
This is why the independence question is now part of the political environment. Federal expansion into provincial areas has created a structural conflict.
Because if the energy industry didn't have all these environmental caps and all this red tape, Alberta will get way richer, way faster. That I definitely think would be so exciting.
And Alberta has built legal tools to push back. The independence conversation didn't surface from rhetoric. It surfaced from jurisdictional pressure created by
drill, baby, drill. I like this hat. Does that make Alberta great again?
Ottawa's actions.
Government's MOU with Alberta includes a multi-billion-dollar investment in carbon capture with Pathways Alliance, the premier carbon capture company connected with Pathways Alliance is none other than Entropy, which is owned by none other than Brookfield. Is the reason it has taken the government so long to get a deal with Alberta because the Prime Minister has been busy getting a deal for Brookfield.
And the most shocking reality is Alberta contributes between $15 billion and $27 billion more to federal coffers than it receives back annually, while Quebec alone collects 52.7% of that $25.3 billion equalization program. Money Alberta
Yeah, that's true.
hasn't received a single dollar from since 1964. Meanwhile, Alberta's oil output hit nearly 4 million barrels a day in 2024, accounting for 84% of Canada's total oil production, making it the economic engine that keeps the entire federal system running.
Our economy has suffered tremendous damage. This country has lost out on tens of billions of dollars in investment and countless opportunities for growth. Alberta won't pay that price again. We have no obligation to accept policies or agreements that hold our
What do you mean, Dan? Only the irresponsibility of it as our, what does this mean?
people back.
But here's where it gets dangerous. The Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion just came online, and drilling activity surged 22% last year, meaning Alberta's leverage is peaking at the exact moment Ottawa is tightening emission caps and regulatory controls that threaten to choke production.
We'll protect our people, we'll protect our industries, and we'll make sure that decisions that affect Albertans are made by Albertans. But what we have observed, and I have had a chance to talk to the International Relations Minister, what we have observed is that when we're going out and doing trade negotiations, the best entity to be able to talk about the endowments and opportunities in a particular province is that province's premier.
The math is simple. If Alberta's energy sector stalls, federal revenue collapses, and the provinces dependent on equalization lose their lifeline. That's not political rhetoric. That's the structural vulnerability Ottawa can't afford to admit exists. And it's exactly why this independence conversation isn't theoretical anymore. It's a pressure valve on a system that's been taking more than it gives for 6 decades straight.
But for once, she's decided to actually stand up for Alberta, to stand up against Ottawa, and
Who's this guy?
introduce Bill 1.
And here's the part nobody caught. Alberta passed Bill 1, the International Agreements Act, and it quietly severed Ottawa's automatic authority over this province in international matters. From now on, any global agreement the federal government signs, climate, energy, emissions, trade, it has zero force in Alberta unless the Alberta legislature votes it in.
At the international table, and we're drawing a line. We're saying that they cannot make decisions in our areas of jurisdiction at an international table without including us. Quebec has found a reason to have this.
Yeah, well, Dan, if you want to defend that, you can come chat, but separation talk affects economy and investment. Do you know what affects economy and investment? All the red tape. That, was it the CEO of Synovus?
This policy that goes through a very elaborate process when international.
Saying that I believe that the pipeline is not viable, but that's not from the separatists. That'd just be all the First Nations group, that whole coastal First Nations bullshit thing that gets funded by America, and many people say is not even First Nations. And then just all like the climate policy that's being implemented by the federal government. There's so many things. It's not separatist. That's such a cop-out that people say that.
Agreements are signed onto, and we just want to set the precedent.
In practical terms, Alberta just placed a legal firewall between itself and every international deal. If Ottawa drags the country into it, Ottawa can sign whatever it wants, but Alberta is no longer automatically bound to obey. That's a structural shift, not a slogan.
As we've seen in Canada in recent years.
By the way, have you looked at the economic data in Canada in the last 10 years or so? It's awful. So give me a break with this. The Liberal policies have been so bad for the entirety of Canada, but somehow they keep winning, which is incredible.
There has been a lot of overreach by the federal government in Ottawa. And even outside of Alberta, some of you may be seeing that there is a movement for Alberta to become independent from Canada, that there potentially will be a referendum in 2026 that will be voted on by Albertans on whether or not we remain a province in Canada or whether we become an independent country.
Does anyone know who this guy is?
Which eventually could be leading to becoming the 51st state of the Union.
And this move sets a precedent. Alberta is now deciding
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
which external commitments
Hello,
apply
Dan.
within its borders. Every country with real autonomy operates this way.
These
This
are the
isn't-
only messages I get on Kick and stuff and Twitch. I'm streaming there. I don't even know if I have any followers there really, but they're all help. It's this to me sounds like a ViewBot ad. I can share your stream in a Kick community to help you hit 1,200. I mean, that sounds like ViewBotting, but and earn $800 while streaming. Very cool. But I don't know.
chatter about independence. This is a jurisdictional reset happening on paper inside provincial law right now.
It says that
Hello, Mr. Construction.
once there is a successful vote on a clear question by a province to succeed, then the other provinces, First Nations, and the federal government are under a positive legal duty to enter into good faith negotiations as to the terms upon which the province will become an independent country.
So let's cut straight through the noise. The legal framework for a province to break from Canada, it's already written, it's already tested, and it's already recognized by the Supreme Court. The Clarity Act isn't
What's up, Maple Boy? I remember you from last stream, yeah.
declaration. It spells out exactly what happens after a province votes on its status. Clear question, clear majority, mandatory negotiations, no permission slip from Ottawa, no discretionary
exactly, Dan.
approval, no political handshake required.
Now, this is not a new or a radical concept. Quebec has had a similar framework requiring provincial consent already in effect. Since the federal election, I've met with Prime Minister Mark Carney several times. I've told him the same thing every time, that Confederation works best when Ottawa respects the Constitution and provincial authority.
So here's the part I think people keep missing. This process is not exclusive to Quebec. The Supreme Court ruling applies to any province, Alberta included, which means once the referendum delivers a clear result, the legal machinery activates whether Ottawa likes it or not.
We are a political party that focuses on the things where we agree. Our political party is an act of political will, bringing together two different cultures. And one of the foundational principles was that we will pursue Alberta autonomy within a united Canada. And that is what I have been, that is my marching orders. That is the terms under which I recruited my candidates. That's the terms under which all of my caucus members got elected. And
so here's a hard truth. Independence isn't won by enthusiasm, it's won by math. Alberta is split between pro-independence conservatives, cautious federalists, and a massive middle that hasn't really chosen a side. A referendum won't be a rally of the committed. It will be a turnout fight across the entire
I don't know. What do you think about it, Ultimate?
province. Most Albertans didn't vote in the last election, and those missing voters won't magically align with the loudest voices online. If the independent side walks into a referendum without building support outside its own base, the question can be triggered and still fail on voting day. And once a no result is recorded, the door doesn't reopen easily.
Can you say whether Mr. Rafsky is presently a member in good standing, and will you be vetting people who buy UCP memberships for any sort of sentiments relating to separatism that they've been expressing online or in other domains?
we think that these kinds of issues need to be put forward through a citizen-initiated referendum process.
No political party in Alberta has the authority to declare or deny independence.
Like the video, subscribe. Also, if you want to hop on the stream and just have a chat, feel free to. The link's right there. And you can be pro-independence, you can be anti, I don't care. And then we could also just talk for it's probably better if we only talk for 10 minutes or something, and then I move on. Unless it's like a very great debate or something, but it's probably better just to have, I'll ask you a couple questions or something, and then you can tell everyone how great of a streamer I am. That'd be nice. And then we can just move on, but
the UCP board, not convention delegates, not internal factions trying
you Pops
to steer the ship. Party structures are built to set policy inside Canada.
What's the 10th Amendment, Liberal Finder?
Not to rewrite the constitutional status of a province. So even if activists stacked an AGM or pushed a resolution through the convention floor, it would change nothing about Alberta's legal position. Internal votes don't override the Constitution, they don't activate the Clarity Act, and they don't force a negotiation with Ottawa.
The letter.
Crazier thing about UBI is I think eventually that will be a thing, honestly. It's just maybe it'll be 100 years from now. But I mean, maybe not. We will see what happens. It's very hard to predict the future like that, but I don't think UBI will be good. I honestly think I've thought about UBI a few times. I think it just incentivizes laziness, ultimately. But I mean, I think eventually there will be a situation where so many people's jobs will be displaced with robots and AI and all that stuff. I don't know when that will happen.
For the recall petition, and these
And then it's a matter of what do you do with all these people? Like, so I don't know, but we're not there yet. I don't even think we're close to there yet. I don't think we're close to UBI either.
multiple recall petitions have been going out over all UCP MLAs. I wouldn't doubt, and I can't say for certain, because it could be defamation, but I would not doubt if Naheed Nenshi is paying through the NDP for this to happen.
The landscape is being flooded with noise that didn't surface naturally. Recall petitions target UCP MLAs from political opponents, aiming to disrupt the field before a...
Is that your position, Dan? This sort of sounds like ChatGPT. ATCO has already lost business investment in a major hydrogen project with investors stopping talk. I don't know if yeah, okay.
Referendum even appears. Coordinated online narratives push identical talking points to fracture the independent space and spark internal division. These aren't random flare-ups. They follow deliberate patterns meant to keep Albertans distracted from the actual mechanism that matters, the referendum trigger. The more chaos...
Okay, interesting, yeah. I didn't know much about it, but it sounds like some changes are coming, and like the benefit is going to be a little lower, but there's going to be more incentives, I think, for people to try to work, right? I think it's a good idea for the disabled people that want to work. I'm on. Okay, I see. Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I like your picture too. Like it's like I think a Lego Donald Trump or something. It's very funny.
Injected now, the harder it becomes for any movement to mobilize when the time comes to vote.
Is somehow offside, but the Supreme Court has already determined that...
What about Maple Boy, the Quebec separatists? I might have asked you that the other day. What do you think about the Quebec separatists? And why do you think they don't get really that much pushback when the Alberta separatists and Alberta independence movement definitely does? Why do you think there's a disparity there?
A right to self-determination, but I think they've also recognized that you can't ignore treaty rights. So I would leave it to legal scholars to give you an answer to that question.
Yeah, I don't even think you'd lose much investment in the short. It might change in the short term. Like certain investors might go away, others would come in, I think. But I definitely think even medium term, Alberta independence would be good for the economy of Alberta. You could say there's a short term period where everyone kind of figures everything out, but I don't even know how long that would last. People are smart. Rational people will look at the fact that there's all this opportunity to lower taxes, lower red tape, etc.
So Quebec's already drafting its own constitution, tightening immigration control, and acting like a parallel...
Yeah, but the PPC is they're not really taking advantage of the fact that the CPC is weak. So I don't know what the PPC is doing. You'd think the PPC would be able to get it to at least 10% or something in polling. I think something like the PPC could exist. Like in Britain right now, there's a big reform movement, but the PPC seems, I don't know, like they're lazy or something. They don't really, and if you like the PPC, the fine, but the PPC needs to do a way better job at marketing itself.
State. And that alone shifts the entire country's center of gravity. Add the U.S. hunger for energy and global markets circling Alberta's resources, suddenly the map...
Let's see if we can get to 100 live viewers. So I think I was at over 100 one time before, but please like the video. Let's pump it up a little.
Around us isn't static, it's volatile. Alberta's fiscal firepower keeps Ottawa afloat, yet 2026 lands as a pressure point where political cycles collide. Meanwhile, Alberta is assembling its own pension, revenue tools, and policing structure as Ottawa weighs preemptive legal moves.
It's not sustainable in what way?
This creates a narrow window where swing voters, not activists, will decide...
Been to 4 communist countries? I don't think I've ever been to one. Which ones have you been to? Like I've been to the airport in China, but that doesn't really count, I don't think.
Which direction this province jumps. Everything is in place now. When the question finally lands, will Albertans step forward and raise their own flag for real?
Their own flag for real? See, and this guy cranks out content too, so. But anyway, I like the video, so who am I to say?
A citizen-led petition calling for Alberta to seek independence from Canada is gaining momentum across the province.
The western provinces of Canada just pulled the nuclear option, and they are literally
Yeah,
in
exactly, Albat. Yeah.
the process of breaking up Canada.
Is the energy, the camaraderie, the hope, but also the steely determination.
The western provinces have just dropped a Wexit bomb that's shaking Canada to its core. Alberta, Saskatchewan, BC, and Manitoba ripped the heart out of the country,
Saskatchewan,
leaving Ottawa scrambling. Millions are now forced to confront the terrifying question: is this the final chapter of Canada as we know it, or the start of a country unrecognizable?
I'm sick of our government. So it's time to separate. It's like a bad marriage. I'm tired of giving my money away.
I've never seen anything like what just happened in the western provinces. Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, and Manitoba didn't just make an announcement, they sent a shockwave through the entire country.
See, like, I don't believe that people actually talk like that. They sent a shockwave through the entire country. I don't know.
This was two western provinces coming together to formalize their mutual intention in officially declaring independence from Ottawa's economic colonialism.
Tired of the husband making all the money, being Alberta, and the dipsticks taking it all, without recognizing that the work that we're doing is really what's supporting Canada. And I think that we need to work with the US.
I can feel it when I follow the news. MPs frozen in their seats, phones ringing off the hooks, lawyers pacing in circles, and Parliament quiet and stunned. Canada isn't exploding, but I can tell you it's cracking, and not in the way you can ignore. It's happening quietly, painfully, through bureaucratic chaos and public outrage.
Alberta needs to be...
Okay, that's the 10th Amendment, like just a lot of states' rights. Full right to determine its own laws, schools, policing, and protected the rights of people. Okay, interesting. That's cool.
Strong and free from the shackles of the Liberal government. We are tired. We don't matter in this relationship, and it has to stop.
When I look at the Alberta legislature,
it's always a bad time, though. Canada's been saying that my entire life. It's a bad time. It's COVID. It's blah, blah, blah. It's a climate emergency. I've been hearing that my whole life.
Later, the scene is tense. Hundreds of people are there demanding independence, and Indigenous groups are standing their ground, insisting their treaty.
Are you talking about the MOU? Isn't the MOU for 2040 or something?
Be respected. I follow CTV's Kathy Lee reporting on the growing divide, and it hits me how deep this tension runs.
Michael, 8 out of every 10 Canadians think that it's likely or somewhat likely that the U.S. would support Alberta separation. But, you know,
I remember this. What's the point of this question, though? This question doesn't mean anything to me.
The numbers in the prairies jump to almost 9 out of every 10 individuals that live in the prairie provinces, Alberta, Saskatchewan.
Dude, this isn't an argument, Dan. Pretty much every prominent economist in the province disagree with you. What does that mean? You could find people that have a position on anything. You could say it about anything, any issue. That's the whole climate garbage argument. Oh, 97% of these people agree with the fact that climate change is caused by humans. Like that. What is the actual data? Which part of what I said do you disagree with? Then we can have a conversation. Pretty much every prominent, like, I don't know. What do you think?
In Manitoba believe that the U.S. would likely or somewhat likely recognize or support Alberta separation.
It's economics 101 that if you get rid of bureaucratic red tape and you lower taxes, it's good for economic growth. It spurs investment. There's higher take-home pay. It incentivizes more risk-taking. So just from an econ 101 perspective, Alberta independence is rational. All these economists, they'll say whatever they want. Like anyone could have a point of view on anything. It doesn't mean anything at all.
Led petition for a referendum is already turning heads. I see the Alberta Prosperity Project aiming for 177,000 signatures in 4 months, and they've already collected over 240,000 pledges.
Okay, what the hell? What the fuck? Where's that coming from? I've never heard that. Again, I don't know who is saying this, but have you heard this? Where did that number come from? 240,000
turning heads. I see the Alberta Prosperity Project aiming for 177,000 signatures in 4 months, and they've already collected over 240,000 pledges. Yep.
Is that true? I feel like if that would have happened, that would have been all over X and all over the news. Where did that number come from?
Young people I know are furious, watching pipelines get canceled, industries throttled, and costs of living rise, while Ottawa barely acknowledges it. Still, I hear...
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, wow. Because like places like Florida were so good on COVID.
Voices of those who cling to Canada, conflicted but unwilling to abandon hope.
The government made a series of changes that removed the requirement that the proposed referendum question be constitutional.
This isn't chaos for chaos' sake. I see a carefully coordinated strategy. The 4 provinces aren't acting on impulse.
Yeah, Canada, Alberta needs a stronger First Amendment. Ours is not, like, our free speech laws are pretty good, I think, but they're not. The U.S. has stronger ones.
They've aligned calendars, legal paths, and political moves. I follow Alberta's energy numbers. 4.2 million barrels of oil per day, $70 billion annually added to Canada's GDP.
And, you know, the other thing is that people know that there's a significant proportion of individuals in the province of Alberta that are not happy with the Federation and how it's working.
Yeah, both sounds good to me, too.
Saskatchewan's agriculture, uranium, and potash industries are global powerhouses. Manitoba controls critical rail lines, ports, and U.S.
Yeah, exactly, Dan. Let's go. I totally agree with this. Isn't the economic argument that immigration is great for the economy? Canada has population has gone up by about 10 million in whatever 20 years or something like that, and the economy's in the toilet. So how did that work?
Trade access. Every project delayed, every federal regulation tightened, every carbon tax
delayed. I don't know if you were here. I've been talking about that throughout this stream. I don't want to keep talking about it just in case someone's been here the whole time, which I'm sure some people have. So I won't mention it again, but yeah, I've been talking about that.
Imposed. I can see Ottawa misreading it all.
Although if it is, it's very good AI. It's very good. Yeah.
The West isn't complaining, it's using its leverage.
They have had a referendum, didn't work for them, at least at that time. But the numbers are the level of intensity in terms of how Quebecers feel about whether the U.S. would support Alberta separation, a little lower, but super high in the prairie.
Okay, that's what you mean by that. Okay.
High across Canada, Michael, in terms of the view of the U.S. as a country that would support Alberta separation.
I support Canada. I would like the Prime Minister to stand up and say that he supports Alberta and is on Team Alberta. And I'd like actually the members opposite to do the same. Why, in every opportunity they have to offer defense, they never stand up for Canada?
I hear Premier Danielle
I haven't heard that clip before. Let's go.
I support Canada. I would like the Prime Minister to stand up and say that he supports Alberta and is on Team Alberta. And I'd like actually the
I've never seen this clip before.
members opposite to do the same. Why, in every opportunity they have to offer defense, they never stand up for Canada?
I hear Premier Danielle Smith speak, and it's chilling. Her words are
Yeah, you're right. That they didn't. Are you talking about when Maxime Bernier didn't get on the debate stage? Because that was bullshit. I agree with you. That's what you're referring to.
Emotional, strategic, no appeals to unity, no tearful speeches about
Laos is communist. I didn't know that. I was in Thailand recently, but so close to there. But Cuba, Vietnam, China, and Laos. Okay, cool. Yeah, Cuba. I do not want to go to Cuba right now. Probably ever, unless things change. But I don't know. It's probably beautiful though. But Vietnam. I definitely want to go to Vietnam.
history, its numbers, timing, and logic, pipelines, markets, population, and energy. She's telling Ottawa that the West will no longer be dictated from thousands of miles away. It's not emotional, it's survival.
They are constantly standing up for what was the Liberal NDP coalition and the damaging policy.
Apparently, we get visa-free travel in China now. I don't know what that or how that exactly works. If you just show up and get like a visa, like other countries, but that's crazy, man.
That have crushed our economy, chased away investment. Mr. Speaker, I am proudly, and my caucus are proudly Canadian.
And the people on the ground, families are divided. I've spoken to young Albertans debating U.S. residency versus staying in Canada. Soldiers and civil servants I follow online are unsure which flag they'll serve under next year. Freight routes are shifting quietly, shipments are delayed, and grocery suppliers are pausing orders.
At the end of the day, if Trump decides to take over Alberta, Canada, whatever, we're not going to be able to stop him. So,
capital is moving and the dollar is wobbling. Investors aren't waiting for speeches; they act on uncertainty.
Frankly,
yeah,
I think the people.
Good point, Stakhanova.
Of Alberta would agree with that sentiment, that they would prefer not to be a part of Canada and be a part of the United States because we are winning day in and day out.
The timing of this couldn't feel more intense. I read about the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School shooting, 8 dead, more than 25 injured.
Yeah, that's true, but I think that's pretty much all they did recently, the PPC. So I think there's an opportunity for them to be way higher in polling.
And I understand the anxiety in communities across Alberta.
So you would rather be American than Canadian?
Yes, but I'd rather be Albertan independent.
Even the RCMP in Alberta is seeing spikes in weapons incidents, adding to that sense of that the social fabric is fraying. Separatism isn't just a political issue anymore. For many, it feels like protection, a way to secure safety, jobs, and a future.
The U.S. administration is very enthusiastic about Alberta independence.
I also notice another pattern. U.S. actions have set an unspoken example. When U.S. forces captured Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela and brought him to New York on federal charges, there was no debate, no delay, just action. I can see why the West is taking notes. If a global superpower can act unilaterally, why shouldn't Alberta, Saskatchewan, BC, and Manitoba secure their own future without waiting for permission? The logic is brutal, but it does work.
One of the reasons why Alberta feels so used and abused here, so taken advantage of, is because Alberta alone contributes 14% to Canada's total GDP, but they're only 11% of the population, which means they end up sending $20 billion more to Ottawa than they receive back every single year.
Ottawa is trying to respond. Bill 14 temporarily slowed the petition process and changed referendum rules. Ministers argue, advisors contradict one another, legal experts scramble. I follow every update, and it is clear the province...
On what side, Suna? What do you mean by that?
Provinces keep moving. Law can be enforced, but control has already shifted. Ottawa's authority now seems symbolic, like a badge without power.
Alberta would be better off if we separated from the rest of Canada.
I've been watching the public sentiment closely as well. Polls show that 94% of Western respondents feel shortchanged, while nationally, 65% of Canadians oppose separation. The anger in the West isn't going away. Town halls are full, petitions fly off the sheets, social media feels like a pressure cooker, and I can scroll through feeds where fear, disbelief, rage, and even dark humor are all colliding, and it feels intense. This isn't abstract politics anymore. I think it's about identity, survivability, and belonging.
Continually giving to the have-not provinces and never having pipelines, just always giving.
Alberta, Saskatchewan, and even British Columbia just made history by formally coordinating their separation strategy from the rest of Canada. And the timing, I mean, it is absolutely...
Totally. And all the coastlines. Oh, this is going to be underwater by now. But all the rich people buy homes right on the beach.
Absolutely devastating for the Ottawa establishment.
I notice Canada's cracking in ways that aren't dramatic, but they are terrible.
It's very exciting. I maybe I'll start, probably not on this channel, but maybe I'll start watching the Restore Britain type stuff, because it's quite inspiring what's happening over there. From what I've seen, the little I have seen, it's very cool.
Terrifyingly real. The dollar is wobbling, freight slows, markets respond, and Ottawa just argues with itself while the West quietly advances. Timing has replaced possibility as the key question. Pipelines, taxes, regulations, and strategic access aren't abstract. They're at the front line of a new reality.
We need to go with the U.S. and we need to.
Dude, this is no way to live, Dan. This is like, I don't want to be too aggressive, but what does that mean? That's no way to live. Economists say no. That is their training. Dude, come on. Yeah, I don't want to be too rude, but holy shit. It sounds like you're like 12 years old, being like, well, the teacher told me that this is the way it is.
Work with the whole family's here. We need to work with the oil and go all the way down to Texas.
Did they mention Alberta's oil? Nothing. It's lumber. There's steel down. What about us? It's our money.
I realize the West isn't talking about loyalty. They're talking about outcomes. Geography, economics, and political leverage guide their actions. Oil, gas, minerals, farmland, they've turned liabilities into bargaining chips. In Washington, their silence is deafening. No tweets, no statements, no dramatic headlines, just quiet, calculated interest. I can feel how much the quiet empowers the West.
We're not being treated fairly. And the only way we're going to make a change is by demanding basically our independence.
10 million people are questioning their future. Ottawa.
That's what I thought, Knight.
Scrambles while the Western provinces keep acting. Petitions, town halls, referendums, they're not just headlines. They're the first moves in a seismic shift that's already underway. I can see Canada standing on a fault line, and the cracks are widening fast. The question isn't if Canada will change, it's when. And who will define what comes next? I'm watching, and right now no one can predict the outcome. But the tension is impossible to ignore.
Hundreds filed into an Edmonton hotel to sign a petition and
point of order.
Okay, I'm eating a chocolate bar right now. Don't compare me to Trudeau, but it reminded me of this.
It's rising on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we all know that the rules of the House do not permit us to eat in this place. And I can't help but observing that during the last vote, a number of people were eating in their seats, including the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Canadian Heritage, and the Prime Minister, who appeared to be hiding a bagel in his desk. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has already stained this place with corruption. He does not need to stain it with mustard as well. Exactly.
I thought it was a chocolate bar.
Order. The Right Honourable Prime Minister on the same point of order. Order.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I apologize. It was a chocolate bar. I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What do you mean about the signatures, the 240 number? I never heard that. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, a member for Lanark Front.
hopes of triggering a referendum over Alberta independence.
I'm kind of tired to see the Easterner basically having the pleasure of shitting on Alberta, blocking everything that we want to do.
The fault lines in Canada aren't just on a map, they're in daily life. In the West, people value faith, family, freedom, and getting ahead on their own, while the East leans on bureaucracy and programs. That difference has been simmering for years, and recent events have pushed it into full-blown tension.
Then why doesn't Alberta get equalization down? Explain that to the group. Eviscerated BUY economist. Then why doesn't Alberta get equalization?
Polls show frustration is real. 94% of Albertans feel shortchanged. And young people especially are fed up with pipelines being canceled, their jobs being blocked, and their opportunities vanishing. Community halls in interior BC and town meetings in Alberta are packed, and the whispers are now public action.
An individual confirmed to be the shooter was located deceased.
Oh, is that what he's talking about? That this is like not, he's not talking about this petition right now. Okay. I don't know.
With what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot.
The country's fragility was made stark by tragedy. At Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, a mass shooting killed 8 and injured over 25. The RCMP scrambled, mental health authorities were involved, and the shock sent ripples across communities. Alberta even saw a spike in reports of weapons. People are already feeling uneasy, and this event amplified the sense that life can change in an instant. Combined with economic and political frustration, the tension is almost palpable. Meanwhile, across the border, the U.S. made bold moves that shook perceptions. The capture of Venezuela's former president in a rapid operation, bypassing diplomacy, became a psychological template. Western leaders took note. Ottawa dithers, Washington acts decisively. Trump's talk of Canada as my 51st state kind of sounds crazy to some, but to others, it's framed how power is exercised quickly without permission. And that emboldened Wexit planning.
But all the while, Ottawa tries to artificially cap their production, which could end up reducing production by 20 to 30%. This, according to provincial estimates.
Okay, yeah, I get it. I thought he said. Okay, well, I'll take back, I guess, what I said before, because I thought he went right from the petition to that. Okay, cool.
And now on top of that, BC, British Columbia, which is traditionally a more moderate province politically, they're now joining Alberta and Sask after seeing their taxpayer dollars flow east while federal regulations destroy their natural resource productions and projects. And that's not even the most jaw-dropping part. Wait until you hear what Alberta Premier Danielle Smith...
Look, I would support an alternative to LPC or CPC, but they've got to figure out something to get more public opinion. Everyone has the internet. I don't know what they should do, but yeah.
That has the federal establishment in an absolute panic.
Ottawa's reaction certainly didn't inspire confidence. Bill 14 temporary pause citizen petitions, but ministers scrambled in emergency sessions, advisors contradicted each other, and markets reacted with capital flight. Freight schedules wobbled, shipments slowed, and the daily life started to feel the consequences. Federal authority increasingly looks symbolic. Provinces are acting like sovereign entities, taking control of their legal, economic, and political moves, while Ottawa's ability to enforce decisions simply fades. The public response is raw and widespread.
I don't know, Liberal Finder. I don't know. It's tough to say. Or the third option would be an Alberta currency.
Town halls in Alberta are buzzing with energy. Saskatchewan communities are quietly debating independence. And Manitoba is watching closely, ready to align if the moment is right. Ordinary citizens are asking whether Canada still serves their interests culturally, economically, and socially. Families are divided. Some consider U.S. residency options, while others are clinging to their Canadian identity. Young people feel the squeeze acutely, watching their future jobs disappear and economic opportunities stall. Social media just amplifies this disbelief, rage, and dark humor, fueling grassroots petitions and community organizings.
She said she has never seen such a high level of separatist sentiment in Alberta ever.
This isn't just politics anymore. It's identity, survival, and economic self-interest all colliding. People see the federal government failing to act decisively, schools shaken by tragedy, pipelines and projects stalled, and a country that feels increasingly distant from their daily lives. Every policy, every delay, every headline feeds a growing sense that the West needs to take its fate into its own hands. What started as...
I'll put another video on. Just give me a sec here. Is anyone lucky enough to do any vacationing this winter? Any hot trips planned or anything? I don't think I will this winter. I don't. Well, yeah, we'll see, but I don't think it's in the cards for me this time. What am I looking up again? Oh, yeah.
thinking. As a matter of fact, we don't care what you're thinking. As a matter of fact, when you call us traitors, many of us see that as a badge of honor. Because we've come to the realization that we don't want to be part of Canada anymore. And we have the facts on our side.
I'm noticing the number one response to people in Alberta who are talking about independence is to mock them, sneer them, insult them.
Is it time for Alberta to leave Canada?
Yeah! Alberta's independence numbers keep going up, and that's why
See, at least this one is obviously AI, but
everybody in Ottawa is starting to sound nervous.
Well, maybe
Here's the deal. The polling isn't staying the same anymore. It's moving around in ways that show real unhappiness sitting underneath in the province.
They're successful at getting this super majority. There is one clear winner here, Alberta.
Let's look at what Angus Reid is finding. About 65% say they'd vote to stay. That's real discontent moving through the whole place.
We are not Canadians anymore here. We are Albertans, first and foremost. Canada isn't even in the picture for us anymore. And this is a growing feeling out here that you don't understand.
Now check out what ECOWAS is saying. They're showing numbers closer to 4 out of every 10 people thinking about some kind of independence. That doesn't mean 4 out of 10 are packing up next week. It means a really big chunk waving flags, but they're definitely saying something matters.
That Alberta is by far the largest net contributor to Confederation. Over time, it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Every year, it's in the tens of billions of dollars. That's money that leaves Alberta, goes to Ottawa, and is redistributed.
Yeah, I hear you, Suna.
Partly pays for Ottawa's successes and is redistributed to other provinces through redistribution and transfer payments.
Here's what actually changes how politics works. Smaller groups with real energy and focus. History shows us that groups with commitment can move the whole conversation way bigger than their actual numbers. Look at Quebec back in '95. Independent support didn't start at the winning mark. It kept building. It got bigger as things got more serious.
I think that was in Alberta, Liberal Finder, that old clip, I think.
30 years
later. Yeah, basically the same thing.
5 cents in a single day. There would be economic devastation, but I don't think it would be for Alberta. Here, keep playing.
A big chunk of those 21% soft separatists are basically just trying to get Ottawa to pay attention. They want better terms. They want energy policy that doesn't get blocked every single time. They want to be heard. When almost a quarter of your province puts independence on the table as a way to negotiate harder, that tells you the trust is really broken. Let's look at how popular the leaders are. Danielle Smith is running about 17 points in negative territory in some surveys.
I want to talk about...
Okay, the title of this video is called Media Melts Down Over Alberta Minister Raising Provincial Flag.
How terrible the media is in this province.
I'm here for it.
And then we'll talk about Charles Adler, Manitoba's senator. In Alberta, we have an MLA.
Your appeal to the authority that is economists is a bad argument. Again, if you want to come and defend it or defend whatever you want, you can come onto the stream. But just saying, oh, these 10 people said this or whatever, these people that work as economists have this point of view, it doesn't hold any weight.
Bring it up. So this is from City News, and in a normal media ecosystem, this would be a good news story. You'd be like, yeah, right on, good guys. So, but no, the media in this province see crypto separatists everywhere. There's a separatist hiding their separatist sentiment everywhere. And like, I see this and I'm like, yeah, right on. But the media sees it and they freak out. So Alberta's education minister's provincial flag hosting during an overseas...
Are you talking about me? I'm not censoring anything. Sometimes I haven't censored a comment all stream. I barely ever do. I don't even really, unless someone's like, I don't think I've censored a comment in like a week or something, or like 10 days. Sometimes if you say something, the comment just doesn't show up. I've seen that before in my own, I don't know. There's like a top chat and a live chat. I think what I'm getting though here on my end is all the chats, but I don't censor anything. Again, unless like someone's being like a psycho, which I'll censor that, but
His trip.
Oh, he had to Mount Kilimanjaro. Look at this.
Yes.
Look at this. Okay, so this is a trek.
Yeah, so Demetrius Nicolaitis traveled to Mount Kilimanjaro for a trek to honor his sister Melanie, who was murdered by her estranged partner January 16th, 2024. So while he's fighting, by the way, the book ban, his sister gets murdered in a domestic violence incident.
Are you, Mr. Construction, are you pro-independence or anti? I can't tell. But I think you're for independence, right?
So he was dealing with this in the background.
Oh my God.
He was joined by 9 others, including fellow Alberta Cabinet Minister Todd Loewen, who is an excellent guy, with the goal of raising $300,000 to provide critical safety tools for women fleeing domestic violence, such as home security systems and personal safety devices. He has so far raised nearly $270,000 for an initiative called Melanie's Ascent and a new program called Fear Is Not Love. So just an amazing thing. He's a government minister. And you know what he didn't do? Turn to the government to do this. He started a not-for-profit.
Okay, I'll come back to this. I'll just play this clip. I'll probably only stream for another maybe 15 minutes.
Let's jump to another one here. A misconception. Well, all the land in Alberta is crown land and all the minerals are crown. Okay, at law, there's a provincial crown and a federal crown. All of the land in Alberta, but for a very small percentage, namely the national parks and the military bases and First Nation reserves, are controlled and owned by the Alberta government in the crown in the right of Alberta. So Alberta already owns and controls all of the land. The idea of treaty land means that it's provincial crown land. It was ceded through the Treaty 6, 7, and 8, state right on the first page that in exchange for all of the things the government agreed to give to the First Nations agreed to give up any title or claim they have to the land within all of Alberta. So this was settled a very, very long time ago, unlike British Columbia and other places that have all these outstanding land claims. So all of the land in Alberta is already Alberta's land. All of the mines and minerals, all of the water is already under the control and notional ownership of the Alberta government. It's not federal crown land, it's provincial. So that is not an obstacle at all.
No, it doesn't work similarly in the US. Where are you getting that from? And again, that it allows all, but yeah, it's ridiculous. You're almost arguing for independence there.
For independence.
Yeah, but a doctor, dude, just Dan, come on the stream, dude. I'm probably just gonna ban you if you keep like being ridiculous and you're just too much of a coward to come on the stream. Do you think you're an idiot? Like, do you know deep down that you're an idiot? Because you obviously do. Or you'd come on the stream and tell me why I'm wrong, but you're a coward, so you're not going to, because you know that I'm right. If you knew you were right, you would just come on here and tell me. But you're a little baby and you're just gonna have this. And by the way, your comments, like, are you looking this up? You comment once every 5 minutes. With this
Media in this
garbage.
province is
Come
like,
on the
you
stream,
raise
dude.
the Alberta flag on Kilimanjaro, you must be a separatist.
You're kidding. That's their spin.
Don't settle for being on the raid of last resort if you don't have to be.
Initiative in Alberta to help Alberta women and his
Being on the raid of last resort if you don't have to be. Check your most recent electricity bill. If it says the words rate of last resort on it, then there are likely better options available for you. In fact, you could save hundreds of dollars per year by switching plans. Check your bill, then go to ucahelps.ca to explore your options. You will likely find a better rate and could have hundreds more in your pocket by the end of the year. A message from the government of Alberta.
That's absolutely reprehensible.
Yeah, go up to the top, Olivia, so you can see the headline. That
Dimitrios Nicolaides is the exact kind of elected official that I want in my life. A guy that's going to not only identify the issue, but then immediately work to offer solutions to fixing things. Like, this is incredible, and that they would malign him for holding up the Alberta flag.
Yeah.
You know, hey, this is a good question for the people in the chat, though. Like, are you guys still waving the Canada flag out of pride? Or is it just like, if I'm waving any flag at all, it is this one. Only ever. I wouldn't raise the Canada flag. I don't blame him at all.
But, like, he's a minister of the provincial government, joined by a fellow minister, Todd Loewen, of the provincial government, raising money for an initiative.
Remember 4 or 5 years ago when the Canadian flag, you were seen as this far-right nut job for waving the Canadian flag? That has ever changed a lot. Holy crap. But I think it was maybe 2021 where people were apologizing and reflecting on Canada Day about our colonial past.
Alberta to help Alberta women, and his sister was
Dude,
killed.
you're an idiot, bro. This person in the chat, Dan, your only evidence is appeal to economists. And by the way, if you're going to be a robot like that, at least provide the economists. You're just saying economists agree with me. You're not even trying to be a hack. You haven't even got to that part yet. Do you go to the doctor and ask about an oil change? Who are the economists you're even referencing? Can you at least be you're so lazy, you won't even provide the name of one. I've never seen a more pathetic chatter in my life. Anyway, I am getting tired, so I'm gonna go to Liberal Finder. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. The budget will balance itself. Yeah, I'm tired too. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Please please subscribe. Once the stream's over, you can leave a comment. That'd be great. And have a great night.